Yo, man, come on with me, man. Look, we about to catch the subway. We're gonna listen to Johnny Quantum, because I'm telling you, he's like the Walter Cronkite of MMA sports, man. Listen what I'm telling you. Look, if we don't get to the subway, I'ma lose it. Matter of fact, look, there you go right there. Hey, yo, Johnny! Yo, come on, man, let's go. We gotta get that subway, man. The doors are closing. Let's go. Welcome to the subway, 2 M's, 1 A, we only going one way, we'll ride it out the fun way, we'll reach our stop one day, but right now we talking, better pay your fare to get up in here, if not then get to walking, so many destinations, so many people waiting, conversation rules the nation, there is no time for the hating, or heavy contemplating, oh you still debating, you've been chosen, doors closing, we are now leaving the station, MMA, Subway, MMA, Subway, MMA, Subway, it's the MMA Subway.
All right, everybody, and welcome. We'd like to welcome you to another edition, or actually, should I say, the inaugural edition to Talking with the Masters. Yes, this is your host, Johnny Quantum. Of course, this is brought to you by the MMA Subway ATTU Network. And today's guest, I'm just so blessed to, one, be a part of something groundbreaking such as this. The MMA Subway ATTU Network works extensively with mixed martial artists and martial artists, and to bridge that gap. So today we're going to start bridging that gap between mixed martial arts and the martial arts world. So today, our guest is going to be Soke Grandmaster Keith Kugel. Now, he's got a background. I mean, he's been studying the arts longer than I've been alive. That's mind-boggling to me. Honestly, mind-boggling to me. That he studied just all different forms of the arts from, all over the world. The things he knows, just talking to him just off air and just kind of getting to know him as a person. And, martial arts has kind of slid kind of to the back. MMA has kind of taken the forefront because it's what we see. So we need to get back to remembering that there's martial arts in MMA, which is mixed martial arts. Mixed martial artists call themselves martial artists because they usually have a discipline outside of MMA that is a specific discipline of the arts. So today we're going to talk about the arts with Grandmaster Keith Kugel. So we're going to go ahead and bring him in. He's a very busy man. I'm very blessed that he's taking the time out of his day. So we're going to go ahead and talk with the master. Hello, Grandmaster Keith Kugel. How are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Oh, I am most excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much again for making yourself available because, this is a topic that's long overdue. Just blessed that you could be on the show today to really help shed some light on the martial arts or the MA in MMA, so to speak, and we can really, really get into that because it's a topic that it's kind of struck a nerve with you. It strikes a nerve with me and a lot of the other grandmasters and sifus and just for all different ranks of the martial arts world. Definitely could you let the listeners know, like I said, you've been practicing longer than I've been alive, and we spoke off air. I don't want to discredit anything that you've done, and I want you to be able to just let people know who you are. So, Grandmaster Kugel, if you wouldn't mind letting the listeners know and share a little bit about yourself with them.
Well, I've been in the arts for a long, many years I've been in the arts. And I hold rankings in Jiu-Jitsu, Kempo. I also hold it in my own system, which is called Kido, which is Shaolin Kempo, Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido, okay? We do fight on the ground. We also, do a lot of Jiu-Jitsu standing up. And we incorporate the Aikido motions, and not just that, but we learn the internal arts. In other words, how the body works, how it flows, how blood flows, oxygen, you know what I'm saying? In other words, if if I want to really knock you out faster, I'll get your heart rate beating faster, because then once I shut down something in your body, then by the heart rate beating faster, it brings you out quicker. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've trained. I have seminars I have to do in Israel, all across the United States. So, you know, I bring our style of martial arts. I teach about, you know, how the mind thinks, how it works, how it's going to respond, how it reacts, and so forth. That's all important in combat. No matter what you do, if you look at a lot of our military people, how do they do their strategy? You know what I'm saying? They figure it out. Well, if we do this, they're going to respond this way, and then we're going to counter over here. We're going to do that. It's a strategy. It's about the mind. It's about de-psyching too. You know what I'm saying? Just like a boxer will. You know, he'll tell his boxer, "You're the best. You're the best. You're the best." It gets him so pumped up that he walks out there thinking he's indestructible. And so it's all mind, physical. It's understanding how the body, how energy flows, where to disrupt the flow, how to shut it down. So there's a lot to the art. You know?
Well, I mean, from what you just described, Grandmaster, honestly, I felt like I just went through a science lesson. Because I listened to what you said, and a lot of the things that you said are actually very scientific in nature, but they're not looked at as being a science, even though, you know, all art is a form of science because it's broken down, but it's not associated that way in the Western world. In the Far East, it is. And it is a science, and it's taught as such because, like you said, you have to learn. If you're learning the external, you must learn the internal to truly maximize the external. And that's something that's not taught on the general basis in Western sports, period, or even the Western lifestyle. It's just not taught. Whereas in the Far East lifestyle and in the arts that originated in the Far East, those things were commonplace. You know, you're a little kid, you learned how to breathe. You were a little kid, you learned how to stand. You learned how to balance and ground yourself as children. So it's something that you just grew up in. You don't know any different. You know, kind of like over here. You know, you kind of go out and you play Little League or you play Pop Warner or you play T-ball. You know, it's just those types of things. But we're not. It's the teaching, but it's what we're teaching, and that type of discipline. Because what you live, Grandmaster, is a lifestyle. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
It transcends sport because it is a lifestyle. And that lifestyle brings longevity. That lifestyle brings clearness, brings awareness, brings so much than just a quote-unquote sport. You know, so with you explaining what you explained, it sounded very scientific to me because you said the external, the internal. These are things that aren't spoken about on the mainstream, and it's definitely not spoken about in the mixed martial arts world.
You know what it is, though? We're, as Americans, like Orientals from Japan, Okinawa, China, and so forth, we are like go back to the Fist Cup days of John L. Sullivan. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and that was the old day. You know, you'd get out there, bare knuckle, you'd fight it out, you know, and they had their stances back then. Naturally, we trained different. So now, you know, we get more physical power, we get more speed, because back then they don't have the training methods we have today. But, you know, that's what it is. They focused on more, you know, their footwork, the ducking, the punching, you know what I'm saying, and how to take a hit. Back then, you know, there was no headgear, bare knuckle, and it is what it is. And but that's the way the Americans view their fighting. And I think sometimes, even as a child, if you're programmed to think a certain way, that's how you view things until somebody comes in and shows you something different. And then it's like, oh, a light clicks on you. It's like, wow, I never thought of that. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But it's that awareness to be brought. And, you know, I grew up in an era that, you know, martial arts was key because it was one of the only things that was on TV. I mean, young people nowadays and listeners, any young listeners under the age of, say, 33 to 35, okay, you know, there were different things out there. There was only 3 TV stations, there was only AM and FM, and that only consisted of maybe 2 or 3 stations on that and 2 or 3 stations on AM or FM. There wasn't variety. It was what it was. And
that's all you have for choices.
Yeah, and now you're bombarded with choices to the point where it's really easy to make the wrong choice. And we've spoken about this off air, the watering down of things. So now you have the martial arts, and you have the traditional martial arts. You have the traditional styles of the martial arts. Now, when you say martial arts here in America, a lot of times what you get is people will say the regular forms known. You know, they'll say the Kempo, they'll say the Taekwondo, you know, the stuff that people just normally naturally know as in what's been marketed. But even those styles, as we've talked about off air, have kind of been westernized and taken away from their original format and their original teachings to where you become a black belt in no time.
Right.
I've talked to people who've been studying 30 plus years, and basically they're not a grandmaster yet. Yeah, that's mind-boggling to me that you could study for 3 decades and you're still not there. But in the arts, your lifetime is your book, your whole life. It's not okay. Right. I only have to study for a year and I can become a master, and then I can become a grandmaster if I study for 5 years. No. I mean, I've talked to a few grandmasters and people throughout the martial arts world, and the consensus that I've gotten from them is, look, this is a lifestyle. You actually don't settle in and get it till you turn about 50. I'm like, 50? I mean, that's a long time. That's half a century. And then you start to settle in, and then I look, and then once I heard that, I started to do my research, and I started to look at these people who have practiced their crafts for 30, 40, 50 years. And I look at them, and I'm like, one, they don't look their age, and two, they have better cardio, better stamina, more true, should I say, muscle function, as in they actually have usable strength than people half their age. That's mind-boggling to me that nobody has cracked the code. This is the Da Vinci Code, people. Nobody's cracked it. Why isn't everybody doing it?
You know, it's kind of like, you know, the supposedly scientists say that we only use a small portion of our brain. Okay, there's so much that's not used. Well, you could take the same thing and apply it to the arts. Okay, we as martial arts are not using the full potential that we have. There is so much to the arts. The American, even a lot of the foreigners, when they came over way back when, I'm talking, they adapt everything to the American people. Why? Because they want to sell their product. And to sell your product, it has to adapt to where you want to take it to. Because if it doesn't adapt, okay, it doesn't sell, which means you don't make money. All right? You go to places like, for instance, you go to certain cities in this country. They're hardcore people, but then you could take that hardcore person and put them in Beverly Hills. That's not going to sell. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking to make money, it's not going to sell. I give you 6 months, you're out of there. You're gone. So you know what I'm saying? I've had a martial arts come to my school from down south, and what they would do is halfway through the class, to take a break for 15 minutes. That's the way they had to adapt to sell their product down that area. And people, so you have to look at what do you want out of this? Do you want to be a true martial artist and develop true students of the art, or are you looking for the money? If you're looking for the money, you're going to sell a different product.
Well, unfortunately, that's what it's come to. It's come to this, which in a way is kind of good because it's making conversations like this happen. It's making interviews like this happen. You know, more people are starting to wake up to the fact that they've been kind of duped, bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok, led astray. Yes, all of those lovely things, and because the true knowledge has been suppressed. And people like yourself, you know, there's only so many of you. And there's and